Barakatay Hawa, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is called Digital, the Wave of the Future. And pretty much this lesson comes to the inspiration of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai from a video and a web page that Elder Yashawamba sent me earlier, and I want to get into that because this is the wave of the future. It's everything to be digital, and what we're gonna do is, let me just, since it came to mind, let me just look up that word digital. And let's just take it from there. But before I get into that, this is for, the Spanish speaking, brothers and sisters out there. As y'all know, they hijacked my page, my Spanish page. Somebody took it over and changed the password and put their name up here. So I created another one using the same name. I was able to use the same name. And I'm just starting to upload some of the old videos that I had. So there's like 8 videos on there now. I put this in the description box so brothers can share it with, any of the Spanish speaking tribes out there, that want to be edified in Spanish. And Lord's will, the Spirit jump on me to start doing some more Spanish lessons if the Spirit allows. All right, so with that being said, let's move on to this digital currency, the future of money. And the reason why this is a title that just popped in my head, trying to think of a title. I was just going to go with various topics, but the Lord put that thought in my mind, digital, the wave of the future, because that's exactly where money is heading. Money is heading the way of something digital, the way of, a nothing more than a stroke of a key or a entry, a computerized entry known as money. All right, and this is why they have these currencies like blockchain, which blockchain, they have actual coins, but how many people that had blockchain that actually were getting these coins? It was just nothing more than digital entries, and this is why they're able to do away with it, increase it or decrease it at will, because everything is digitalized. All right, so now before we get into it, I'm gonna go with this word digital real quick. Digital, of signals or data expressed as series of the digits 0 and 1, typically represented by values of a physical quantity such as voltage or magnetic polarization, showing the time by means of displayed digits rather than hands or a pointer. Let's see what else we could find. It says, of or relating to the fingers or toes, digital dexterity. In other words, this currency that's coming, which I typed in digital and currency came up. Digital currency. So let's hold on to that. Digital currency. Let's type in. All right, so let's go back here, Salakia. Let's go back to this one. It says done with a finger. So everything that you're going to have is going to be at the stroke of a key, done by somebody's fingers. It says of, relating to, or using calculation by numerical methods or by discrete units, composed of data in the form of especially binary digits, providing a readout in the numerical digits, relating to an audio. That's going into something else, but pretty much everything is at the stroke of a hand, stroke of a finger, should I say. And that is how, or that is the wave, or the wave of the future as far as money is concerned, because as you brothers already know that have been studying, that these devils are trying to push out the mark of the beast. which the mark of the beast, which is the microchip, consists of finances, and it consists of different records of each individual. It's a fingerprint online of each individual, as well as being used as a tracking device also to be able to track, the slaves of the so-called international bankers. So now, building off of the word digital currency, digital money, electronic money, or electronic currency is a type of currency available in digital form in contrast to physical, such as banknotes and coins. It exhibits properties similar to physical currencies, but can allow for instantaneous transactions and borderless transfers of ownership. So that's the point. So no longer is the money going to be tangible. And they've been planning on this for years. I remember back in the 80s, back in the 80s, 80s, early 90s, hearing about like the credit card thing and how they're trying to make trying to do away with actual cash. I forget what they call it offhand right now. The word is escaping me. But pretty much they were trying to make everything to where you didn't have the physical dollars and coins in your pockets. And back then, really, no one really fully understood it. Well, I shouldn't say no one, but most people didn't really fully understand it because they still had this internet of things, had not really blown up to the proportion of what it is today. And this leads me to the first scripture, which I only had one scripture for this lesson so far, which is Daniel 12:4. We're going to read that. But thou, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. And we're in the end times. It says, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. And we're witnessing the increasing of knowledge through this technology, which the word tech means to teach. So this is the way that the knowledge has been increased, is by way of the internet of things, or the internet that was created to be able to keep track of everything digitally. And before I actually started the lesson, I was listening to the ending of Elder Apostle Tahara's video, one of them videos he had did, and he was going into the wicked imaginations or inventions or something like that, and immediately in my mind popped in, look up the word invent in the scripture. So that's what I did. So I got a couple of precepts based off of the scripture the Elder Apostle was reading, but the point is that knowledge shall be increased. And what it is that the Most High, let's go real quick to Job. Before we go to Job, let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs, I believe that's 20 and 24, if I'm not mistaken. Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own ways? So the inspiration comes from the Lord. There's a spirit in man, but the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding. And the reason why Esau has that understanding today, the way they do, is because the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, gave it to them. And he gives it to them in visions. He gives it to them in dreams. He gives it to them just by thoughts popping up in their head. He gives it to them by how Esau has something called think tanks, where they sit down and they trade ideas, suggestions on how to deal with a certain situation. These are all inspirations from the Lord, because remember, the Most High controls everything. And the reason why Esau got the internet was pretty much to fulfill prophecy. Bottom line. Because we're living in a time where this invention of the internet has caused the truth to go global. I want to get one precept and then return back to this in the book of Job. So let's go from there to the book of 2nd Esdras, because we're going to go to this later, Lord's will. 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and verse 20. It says, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away, meaning when this world that we live in today is about to be destroyed, shall be finished, meaning what? Meaning that everything that could have possibly been done had been done in the fulfillment of a certain amount of prophecies. So when that is finished, and when it's time for the Lord to open up on Esau, which is the last ruler of the world, then will I show these tokens. So the Lord said that there will be certain signs and tokens in the earth that would let us know, the ones that the Lord awoke, that we're at the end. It says the books shall be opened. What books? It's talking about the books of the Bible. Before the firmament. What is the firmament? The ozone layer. Excuse me. What is contained in the ozone layer? Satellites. What do these satellites do? They emit different transmissions, different signals that are spread across the whole world, to where they're able to watch a video that one person does in their home. 1 billion people can watch it throughout the 4 corners of the earth. You know, billions and billions of people can watch it at the same time, because these lessons that go out, they're all throughout the world. But just like they're all throughout the world, not everybody's going to get the understanding of it. Only very few, because the majority of people are going to look at stuff like this and scoff at it, you know. But now a lot more people are starting to take heed. They're starting to, you know, be a little more aware, because you've had the internet out for a number of years. You've had alternative media that's out there, that's giving people blow by blow of what's really happening. You know, more and more people, due to the internet, are doing more research, looking into things. Why? Because we're at the time of the end, and the Lord said that the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord. That's twofold. That's dealing with when Yahushua comes with the chariots, but also this knowledge would be published throughout the 4 corners of the earth, and then the end should come. So we're witnessing right now the tokens that the Lord left, because this kingdom is finished. But before the Lord can actually judge this kingdom, he has to first expose it. And we've gone through the exposure process and still going through it, you know, and we're witnessing the downfall of Esau, the so-called white man. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians 2 and 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed. When it's time for the Lord, when the Lord is ready for him to be taken out of the way. So the Lord let them. Matter of fact, let's read the 7th verse. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Why? Because the Roman Empire, which was nothing more than an amalgamation of the Greek Empire, they were both Edomites, was already in work. They were already working. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. So the Lord was going to let them do what they had to do until the Lord was ready to take them out of the way. But there was a process in taking them out of the way. And the process is, as we see here, and then shall that wicked be revealed. When the Lord is ready to take this devil out. When he's ready to be taken out of the way, then shall the wicked be revealed. And we're witnessing the greatest invention, one of the greatest inventions on the planet, of the internet being given to Esau, you know, which by whatever means, because you had Jakes out there that invented a lot of stuff that Esau stole, but by whatever means it came out, it was all done for the pushing forward of this truth that we're speaking right now. Because this is the only thing that really means anything, you know. And like the elder Apostle Tara said about them brothers down in Florida, when the cop told them that this is not essential, this is very essential, because this is necessary. Why do you think that all these things are happening around the world? Because of the words of the Lord. He spoke about them. So they're being revealed. The wicked were revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. And that's how he took them over. By consuming them with this word, by the mouth of his prophets. And people are seeing now and witnessing, you know, who these devils are, because the Lord has had the prophets out there speaking and teaching. Like I was at the store a couple of days ago, a couple of days ago, and there were a couple of jakes in front of me talking about classical music. And you know, I said, and I told him, I said, yeah, that's that brain food or brain music or something like that. I can't remember exactly how I said it. And they said, yeah, that's right. And I said, hey, you know that those composers like Beethoven and them, they were so-called black men. I said, you know that, right? He said, yeah, yeah. You know, I said, in King James too. He said, say it again. I said, King James too. You know, he said something. He said most people in the Bible were, he said, black. You know, I said, well, all of them. He said, well, not all of them. You know, he said, like the Romans. I said, yeah, you're right. I said, and Esau. He said, yeah. He turned around and looked at me like, yeah, Esau. Like people are starting to wake up because this is common knowledge now. Just like years ago, you would speak about the Illuminati. Nobody knew what the hell you were talking about. People wanted to know. Now that's just like talking about a football game or a basketball game or something along those lines. It's a common conversation nowadays. So the internet was the spirit of the Lord put the spirit on Esau to push his internet out, to push forward his word. You know, and it's gone out drastically because the Lord consumed them with the spirit of his mouth and revealed who they are. So then afterwards, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. And when Yahushua comes with the angels and the chariots, the lasers from the chariots and the missiles that are going to be shot from all over the world is what's going to be the brightness of the Lord's coming, where he's going to destroy these devils. So this is, the internet was used, as our elder Apostle Gabar always says, as the heavy lifting to be able to push this word throughout the four corners of the earth, because Yahushua said that you will not go to all the cities where Israel is, you know, to the Son of Man become. So the Lord created, or had Esau use the technology of the Thummim and the Urim, or the Urim and the Thummim, to push this word out there so that the whole world could see this word. You know? Because the Most High, that's how he does it. So that's what the internet was set up for. So that is how the knowledge became increased. And the knowledge became increased through ideas and thoughts that come into people's minds for them to invent these certain things, these means of communication to push the word forward. So let's go to Job 33 and 15. It says, in a dream. Matter of fact, you know what? Now let's read it. Let's read it. In a dream, in the vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, and slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men. What are the ears of men? Meaning their minds. And sealeth their instructions, because every night when we go to sleep, the Lord seals an instruction for what we're going to do the next day. All right. It says that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from man. Yeah, because the Lord is the one that can ultimately brag about anything, because he can back anything up. That's why King David said, I said in my haste, all men are liars. Because man could talk a good one, but sometimes things are out of his hands to where he can't fulfill his word. But the Most High always fulfills his word. All right. He keepeth back his soul from the pit, and his life from perishing by the sword. All right. So now let's move from there. Now what I want to do is I want to go into a couple of these scriptures on the word invent. And this scripture we're going to read here, which was King Uzziah, right? This was dealing with an army that he set up. Right? He was setting up an army, right? And we're going to read about this particular army and the things that he was setting up and creating. Just to point out a certain point, a certain key point in this particular scripture, which will show you. This is 2 Chronicles 26:11. Moreover, Uzziah had an host of fighting men. See, so he had a military that went out to war by bands, meaning, squads. It says, according to the number of the account by the hand of Jaleh, the scribe, and Maaseiah, the ruler, under the hand of Hananiah, one of the king's captains. The whole number of the chief of the fathers of the mighty men of valor were 2,600, and under their hand was an army. So you had the toughest men, and then you had that made an army. Then you had men under them that were also another part of the army. 300,000 and 7,500 that made war with mighty power to help the king against the enemy. And Uzziah prepared for them throughout all the host, shields and spears and helmets and habergeons and bows and slings to cast stones, because he gave them the weapons that they needed to fight in these wars. But now this is the point here. And he made in Jerusalem engines invented by cunning men. So you always have cunning men that have ideas to make certain inventions. And the men of Esau, they were given the idea, whether because they got some of the ideas for the internet came from Jake, but they took those ideas and created what we know today as the internet, because they were invented by cunning men. So now when we look up the word invented, right, the Hebrew word there is mahashabah. Thought, device, plan, purpose, invention. So it's a thought. And these thoughts, as we read about the Most High, that he puts these thoughts in men's minds to come up with these inventions, to have the ideas in the mind and the know-how and the ability to do the research and the ability to compile all the necessary things they need to create this particular thing. In this case, we're speaking about the internet, which you had missiles, you had, and you got to remember that these missiles, they just didn't wake up one day and just made a missile. There was a lot of trial and error, a lot of research that took place, a lot of testing, till they got the right settings, so to speak. But these were all inventions that the Most High inspired the minds of these devils to do, to push forward. All right. So, and when we go further down, right, that's the word invention. When we go into some of these precepts that have the same Hebrew word up here, mahashabah, you have what? Thoughts, cunning works. See, curious works, cunning work. So it's a devised means. So it's a series of thoughts that are very wise in putting these things together. Just like you had back then, you had men that the Lord put the Spirit on to be experts in carving wood, in carving metals, in carving precious stones. They were given that was an actual gift that was given to them by the Lord to be able to do these things. So what we see in the world today, the Lord gave Esau that ability to do these things, to create these things for what? To bring forth the end of the world and to push forward the prophecies, to make this thing come closer and closer to the end. All right, so we got invented by cunning men. Let's see what it says for cunning men. The word is chashab. To think, plan, esteem, calculate, invent, make a judgment, imagine, count. So these were cunning men. And the word cunning, let's see is it down here? We could look it up. If not, I'll go back. Let's look up this word cunning. Cunning, having or showing skill in achieving one's ends by deceit or evasion. And they were very cunning in being able to put these things together. Because when you look at a computer, it's a lot of series of different components that are all put together. To be able to, when you put everything together properly, to be able to fire it up and to be able to have your monitor, have your speakers, have your internet, have your different programs, to be able to stream on them and make things live and show the world, what you're doing. So this all, the Lord gave Esau all of this, to bring his end closer. So we read in the scriptures how you had cunning men that had these inventions created, which were, in this case, these were engines and different battlements for war. But you have also those inventors that created the internet. So now let's go from there. Let's let me see. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 7. All right, and it's in 29. It says, "Lo, this only have I found, that the Most High have made man upright, but they have sought many inventions." And this is what Esau is doing today. This applies to Jake too, but we're dealing with Esau. This is Chashabawan, device, invention. All right, let's see. Let's look up this word invention real quick. Invention, the action of inventing something, typically a process or device. Let's just go to invent. I hate when they use the same word to, and what is invention? Invention is to invent. Yeah, no kidding. Invent, create or design something that has not existed before. Be the originator of. Make up an idea, name, story, etc., especially so as to deceive someone. And they've been using these inventions that they have as a deception. What the hell do you think the Renaissance was all about? And they're still trying to use the machine of the internet to constantly keep people asleep and deceived. But they don't count on the Lord waking up his elect. You see? Real lame, man. Real cripple. All right, let's go from there to the Apocrypha. Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra, which we are in 6, and the point is in 5, but we're going to start at 1. And he said unto me, in the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightning, or ever the foundations of paradise were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable parts were established, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys in Zion were hot, and ere the present years were sought out, or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned. See, so now you have a different series of inventions. You have idols that were invented. You have different arts and magic and different witchcrafts that were invented. Just like you also have weaponry, you have also inventions such as the internet. It says, and or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed, that had gathered faith for treasure. So this is letting you know that you would have individuals that would have a cunning mind to be able to invent certain things, And this is a part of Esau's think tank. This is why he gets these people together so that they can push forward his agenda. And all they do all day is just come up with different ways of figuring things out, or inventing certain things, or coming up with suggestions on how to better accomplish the means of Esau and his New World Order and his New World Agenda. All right, 2nd Ezra 8 and 27. It says, regard not the wicked inventions of the heathen. And these are wicked inventions that they're pushing out there, because the microchip in humans was first used in animals. That was a trial, and now they got it to where you could actually implant it into people themselves. And they actually have legislation that goes right along with it. And why are they doing that? Because they know that they want to chip the world. And this is why they were not very happy with Aaron Russo when he revealed the agenda of these so-called international bankers, that they wanted to chip the world, because that is the mark of the beast. Esau is the beast. Salaki, brothers, for that. It's a little parched. So this is what they want, and this is how they're using it. They're using this technology, which they can use for good. There's certain things that they could use for good, but they're not using it for good because they're the wicked. May you do good that are accustomed to doing evil. It says, regard not the wicked inventions of the heathen, but the desire of those that keep thy testimonies and afflictions. And this is why we have to pray. And not to sound like MC Hammer, but it's true. We have to pray. You know? Because so the Lord can protect us from these things that are coming. Because these devils are very devilish, man. Remember, it says that they shall be like madmen, sparing none. Now, let's go from there. Same book. Let's go to the 13th chapter and the 37th verse. It says, and this, my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations. So when Yahushua comes back, he's going to rebuke these wicked inventions of these different nations, which is what? Their war machines, you know, and all of the technology that they've used, you know, to pretty much manipulate, deceive the world, make everyone sick so they could come to them. The Lord's going to rebuke them for all of that, man. It says, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and they're going to be the plans of these so-called illuminated ones is going to be destroyed. It says, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented. And we get a glimpse of this when we read the parable of Lazarus and the rich man. It says, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law which is like unto me. And it's gonna be easy work for Yahushua. You know, say he didn't lift up hand or anything like that. Just send out that blast of fire out of his mouth. You know, it's so let's move on from there. Let's go to, we got another one here. Same book, 2nd Ezra 15. And like I said, I don't have anything planned. Just going in the spirit with some of these precepts. You know, so if it's boring to you, then move along, little doggy. Let's start at 47. 2nd Ezra 15:47. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom. In so-called Asia, so-called China, they're doing the same exact thing as Esau's doing. And you know what? I didn't even get to this here. This the brother Yashalom from the New York camp put up a video called Retail Giants Going Digital, and it says Starbucks, McDonald's could trial China's central bank of digital currency report. I think that's supposed to be trail, if I'm not mistaken, right? And then the elder Yashua sent me this video, and then he also sent me this from the block. Starbucks, McDonald's could trial China's central bank digital currency report, and it's speaking on how these giant companies are looking into going digital, and this is also a part of those wicked inventions that we're reading about, you know. And this is why, you know, it may seem like it didn't really make too much sense, but I forgot. The Spirit just tapped me, you know, go to this, you know. So let's read a little bit of this, and then we'll go back to those precepts. It says, quick take, Starbucks, McDonald's, and Subway could reportedly test China's central bank digital currency. The trial could take place in the city of Kyong and New area, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Restaurant giants Starbucks, McDonald's, and Subway could reportedly test China's central bank digital currency. Local media outlet Interchain Pulse reported the news on Thursday, saying that it was exclusively informed about a pilot promotion meeting of the digital currency held in Keong and New Area. The meeting was reportedly organized by the Reform and Development Bureau of Keong and New Area Management Committee and several digital currency research and development institutions, as well as pilot merchants, were invited to participate. Among the list of invited 19 pilot merchants, Starbucks, McDonald's, and Subway were mentioned per the report. The popular Chinese chain of dumpling shops Qing Feng Baozi is also reportedly on the list, among others. These include local hotels, convenience stores, a stuffed bun shop, a bakery, and a bookstore. Other participants include employees from the Keongan branches of 4 major commercial banks, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, the Agricultural Bank of China, the Bank of China, and the China Construction Bank, as well as representatives from Tencent and Alipay. Pilot programs in Keong's New Area are mainly targeted at food and retail companies. Per the report, trials in Suzhou City, on the other hand, are primarily aimed at local government employees, as the block reported last week. Now, I highlighted this because it says several new developments have emerged in recent weeks about China's national digital currency. Last week, the Agricultural Bank of China and Bank of China were said to be piloting a wallet app for the digital yuan, because everything is being digitalized. And this is why the Lord gave them the ability to create the internet. He gave them the ability to come up with different ways on how to accomplish this. This is why they came out with credit cards and debit cards, and because eventually what they want to do is they wanted to phase out the money, but they had to test everything out. And now they have the tests. The tests are already done. So all they were doing was looking for this right crisis, as we see going on right now, this COVID-19, to where they're making the people afraid to take money. Now, some places don't want to take $100 bills. Some places you go to, you can't use cash. So they're making, slowly but surely, phasing that cash out, because they're trying to bring in the digital. Well, they're not trying, they're doing it. They're bringing in the digital currency. And that's a part of their wicked inventions. So going back here, it says, thou hast followed her that is hated, which is who? America, Babylon the Great, in all her works and inventions. Therefore saith the Most High. So this is all being set up by Esau around the world. And he's using the top kings and the top men among these different nations to push forward his agenda. And now we're reading about Starbucks and McDonald's, Subway, and other giant chains that are looking into getting into this digital currency. So you see how everything is being transferred online. That's why we spoke about digital currencies, and that's what all this trade on Wall Street is all about, because it's just computer entries. Nobody really has anything, no physical assets. The ones that have the physical assets are who? The international bankers that actually own the companies and actually own the raw materials. Most people are just trading digitally. They own nothing. That's why when the stock market goes down, what happens? They lose millions of dollars, because they don't have anything tangible. It's all on the computer. And this is what they want. They want everybody chipped. Like my man Aaron Russo said, they want everybody chipped. And it's the truth, because the chip is the mark of the beast. The microchip is the mark of the beast. And another video Elder Apostle Tara was doing, where he was dealing with Willie D, when he spoke about the microchip, and the majority of comments were all comments of Jake talking about how they're not taking it, how this is the mark of the beast, and how they're not going to let anybody put no chip in them. They'd rather die than to be a perpetual slave, And the majority of Jakes on there are waking up to what the mark of the beast is, which is the microchip, which is a shame that a lot of these jakes that don't know that they're Israelites are on a higher level than some of these other camps that refuse to look into, the microchip as being the mark of the beast. You see? So that's what they're doing. So now let's go from there. Got a couple more precepts. Let's go to 2nd Ezra, same chapter, 2nd Ezra 16 and 63. Let's see what that says. It says, surely he knoweth your inventions and what you think in your hearts, even them that sin and would hide their sins. And the inventions can come in many different ways. It could come by way of idols, which in a sense, that microchip is an idol. Because that microchip, once you take that microchip, you become what? Subservient to the international bankers. You become a perpetual slave when we belong directly to the Most High. We don't belong to these devils. So let's go from there to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 12, straight to the point. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. And this is why the Lord said that if anyone takes that mark of the beast, they will be destroyed. They will have their part in the lake of fire, which are those missiles when they're shot off and the lasers from the chariots. All right, because these devising of the idols, these inventions are corruption of life. And that microchip being inserted into somebody is a corruption of life. You're giving homage, you're paying homage to the devil, which is Esau, the so-called white man. And if you do that, you pretty much turn your back on your power. So let's go from there to the same book, Wisdom of Solomon, 15 and 4 is it? Or is it 14? Let's see. 4. For neither did the mischievous invention of men deceive us. And why is that not the case? Why would it not deceive the elect? Well, just because they are the elect. Let's go from there to the book of Matthew 24 and 24, I believe it is. For there shall arise false anointed and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. But it's not possible, because the elect are sealed from these things. And this is why Yahushua said, because you have kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. Let's see, if it were possible, the word possible, dunatos, it says able, powerful, mighty, strong, mighty in wealth and influence. So they would not be able to influence the elect, because the scriptures say that my sheep hear my voice. Let's get that real quick. What I got here, I'm going to hold on to that. Let's go to John, St. John 10 and start at 1. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same as a thief and a robber. And Esau is the biggest thief and robber on the planet. But he that entereth in by the door is a shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calleth his own sheep by name, and leadeth them out. And this is why the elect will not be deceived, because Yahushua is leading the elect by inspiration, by thought, by spirit, by guidance. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, see? And the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. So Yahushua's spirit is actually there, guiding the elect, inspiring their thoughts, inspiring their minds to be able to see through this dark veil that is out here in the world, through that misty haze, through that glaze, to be able to pinpoint and see where the traps are, to be able to walk around traps, to go under or over obstacles. that are meant to seduce, deceive, and destroy the majority of Israelites out there. It says, and a stranger will they not follow. So they're not going to follow Esau, because they are literally inspired day by day through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And that's why Yahushai said, because you have kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them. It says, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. And this is why they will not be able to deceive the elect of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, so now let's go back to, let's read this again. For there shall arise false anointed and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. And let's see, I just want to go back to that. Let's go back to Donatos. If it were possible, let's see, mighty in wealth and influence, strong in soul, to bear calamities and trials with fortitude and patience, strong in Christian virtue, to be able to do something, mighty, excelling in something, having power for something. So they will not be able to enforce their will and their new world order upon the elect of the Lord, because the elect of the Lord are just that, the elect, precious, So now let's go from there to the book of Job 5 and 12, because remember, we read in the book of let's go back to 2 Chronicles. What was that? 26, was it? Yep. 26 and 15. I just want to get the point of the word cunning men invented, which is Maha Shabah. Right? It says thought, device, plan, purpose, invention. So these inventions that were set up by Esau are not going to work. That's why we read here in Job 5 and 12, he disappointed the devices of the crafty. What are the devices? These are all of the hours and days and years, that they've sat down in these different councils and these different think tanks and came up with all these different inventions, all these different thoughts, these different cunning ways to destroy Jake. But they're not going to be able to perform it. Let's go to, let's see, the word devices. Maha Shabah, same word we were reading. Thought, device, plan, their purpose, their inventions. The invention of this microchip, which they want to put into everyone. And they're making it seem hip. And what Willie D was saying was, which is right, is that this younger generation, they are more in tune with technology than they are with anything else. And they don't have the mind to say, you know what, I ain't taking that, because they want to be hip. And he even said it, as we've been saying, that they're going to use influential people. They're going to use they're going to be using famous jakes, whether they're movie stars or whether they're singers or entertainers or whatever the case is, movie stars, to push that influence on Jake, to make it seem hip so that people can flock to take it. But the older people, which been around before all this technology, they know different. They see different. And that's why you have people making the statements, I ain't taking that. But this younger generation is all into this whole, and this is why they're hoping to kill off the older generation, because they know that by separating the older generation from the younger generation, they can influence the younger generation. That's why they will separate the families. That's why they will put Gad into boarding schools, to re-educate them into the ways of Esau. See, to get them on the right page with Esau, as they felt. So the Lord said He's going to disappoint the devices of the crafty. These machinations that they have in their mind. And the crafty is here, Ira 1, which we've read this before. Subtle, shrewd, crafty, sly, sensible. So they're subtle. They are very crafty. They paint it in a way that it seems like it's cool. And the Apostle Paul said, don't think it's strange, because, matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Let's get that real quick, because I can't think of the actual quote right now. 2 Corinthians 11 and 13. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Yahushua. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. See? So Satan himself, meaning Esau, because they are the spiritual counterparts of the spiritual demon Satan on earth, they transform themselves into angels of light. And they'll make people believe that this is the right way, that this is for your benefit, it's for your help. Think of your family. Think of your wife. Think of your children. What would your mother say? What would your father say? Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works, because they will be destroyed. Their whole system is going to go down. You shall perish in flames. Inside joke. Their whole system is going to go down. But they themselves that are of the top elite are going to be the first ones to taste of slavery. So it says he disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. And this so-called New World Order, that is the major part of their enterprise. Because on the top of it, the Inuit coeptus means announcing the birth, or their enterprise has been crowned with success. So the Lord says he's gonna destroy and disappoint these thoughts, these inventions, so that they can't perform this enterprise. And we read Job, the 20th chapter, it lays it out for you what the Lord plans to do in disappointing them. He said he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, because the same things that they're using to deceive the world is the same thing that the Lord is going to use to destroy them. You reap what you sow. And the counsel of the froward is carried headlong, because these counsels that they've had and that they're pushing forward are not going to work. They meet with darkness in the daytime and grope in the noonday as in the night. And this is what they're doing, because they're pushing this agenda forward. They ain't playing anymore. You know, it's balls to the wall, as they say. You know. So now let's go from there to Obadiah, and who the main person that's pushing this out is Esau, the other nations, but mainly Esau, through these inventions of their wise men. Obadiah 1 and 8. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And this is why we read that the sun and the moon shall be darkened. You know, it's talking about Esau's knowledge and wisdom and understanding. They're not going to have any quick solutions on how to fix these problems that are happening, because the Lord is going to take it out of their hand. They're not going to have the ability to sit down and think and restructure themselves, you know, to be able to keep themselves afloat, because the Lord is going to disappoint them. He's not going to allow them to this same wisdom that the Lord gave them. He's going to take it away from them. It says, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. And eventually they will be cut off by slaughter after they serve their slavery. You know, but the main point here is that the Lord is destroying their understanding out of them. And once they accomplish so much, then the Lord is going to step in and snatch the rug right from up under them, and just spiritually sweep them. All right, and the last precept I have is Jeremiah 50. I started 33. It says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and we are both oppressed together here in these United States of America. You understand? So we're both, you know, Judah and Israel. So all of the tribes are being oppressed together now. This didn't happen in other captivities. because all of the tribes weren't together all the time. You may have had a sprinkle here and there of the other tribes, but all of the tribes are actually here now today in what you call the so-called United States of America. All the way from Judah all the way down to Issachar. They're all here, every last one of them. It says, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go, just like the ancient Egypt. The Pharaoh didn't let Jake go. These devils ain't letting Jake go. They're not putting Jake's mind at ease. They're not putting them into graves, as the scriptures say, letting them know, look, you are the Israelites, and eventually the Lord is going to come and deliver you. Because if Esau was to say that, guess what? Every Jake out there would believe him. But since we're saying that, they're not going to believe it because they're not going to accept what we say. That's why the Lord said that a prophet is without honor, saving his own country. And that individual, that Edomite that came up to the elder MANASSEH and said he came to his own accepted him not. Yeah, well, in I believe it's Luke 17, it says that his servants, his citizens saw him and they despised him. And what that meant was that the people that grew up with Yahushua, they didn't accept him because he said, man, we grew up with this guy. This is a carpenter's son, man. So that's what that meant. He came to his own accepted or not. That's why he said he couldn't do many miracles there. Many miracles there because they didn't believe him. They didn't believe on him. You know? It says, their Redeemer is strong. The Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith the Lord, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. So a sword is upon the Chaldeans, which the Chaldeans are who? These were the top magi, the top wise men of Babylon. Today, this represents these different Edomites, that are either witches or warlocks, or different, men that create certain inventions, like the top among these devils that are the ones that are coming up with these inventions. But it's really inspired by the Most High anyway. Saith the Lord, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, what? A sword, which is destruction. And upon her princes and upon her wise men. So all these men that helped with these different inventions, they're going to be destroyed also. Whoever's here on the soils of America, you're finished. Finito. You're out here. You're done. Because the Lord will destroy this place in less than an hour. In 1 hour, this place will be destroyed. So this is the invention. One of the inventions is this digital currency. And this is why everything is moving in that direction. The brother Yashalom from the New York camp did it. Retail giants going digital. We read here in the block that Starbucks, McDonald's, and Subway could trial China's central bank digital currency report. And we read here in this highlighted part, several new developments have emerged in recent weeks about China's national digital currency. Last week, the Agricultural Bank of China and Bank of China were said to be piloting a wallet app for the digital yuan. And that's what they want. That's why everything is what? Apps. They got apps out the wazoo because everything is moving the way of digital currency. They want everything online. They want to be able to track everything and everybody. Track everything you do, everything you buy, everywhere you go. That's the wave of the future. Digital. So with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwath on the comment board. I pray that your brothers have been edified. Until the next time I say Shalom. The children of pressed together here in these United States of America. You understand? So we're both, Judah and Israel. So all of the tribes are being oppressed together now. This didn't happen in other captivities because all of the tribes weren't together all the time. You may have had a sprinkle